Hello there. I'm Tommy. Welcome to Blitz Transmissions. This is the Blitzcast, episode 10. Before we get into the content of this episode, as always, just make sure to check out the links in the description below for all my social media, that being my Instagram page. I have a separate Instagram page called Blitz Bounties for all my pickups, collection updates, things like that. I also have an X page now. I pretty much just post when videos are coming out on that. And then I do have a Discord. It's free to join. Make sure to join that Discord. It's lots of fun. We have a nice tight-knit community in that Discord right now. We do talk a lot more than I thought would be conversating in that Discord. So make sure to check out the Discord. And then finally, make sure to subscribe if you're not yet subscribed to Blitz Transmissions, which I don't know why you wouldn't be, but subscribe if you're not already. Aside from that, it's another week in Star Wars. I am once again by myself this week. No Logan, no Jen, no Hybrid this week. And that's again just because this week's topic is kind of a very contemporary news topic, and I talked with Jen. She didn't feel like she was comfortable talking about this topic at length, just because, she doesn't feel knowledgeable on it, considering we haven't watched the sequel trilogy yet. So I decided I was just going to solo this one again. I have no idea how long this episode's going to be. I know last week's Skeleton Crew episode was maybe 25 minutes. I think this one is, it could go anywhere from like 20 minutes to an hour. We'll see. Just depends on what kind of yappage I get up to this week. In some news, I do just want to say in housekeeping, make sure to check out, I did an interview. It's up on everywhere that the podcast episodes are available, as well as the YouTube channel. It is an interview I did with a guy named Daryl DePriest. If you are not familiar with Daryl, he used to be the vice president of global brand management at Hasbro. He worked with Hasbro for about 18 years total, and he's awesome. Awesome dude. I met him at ICCCon 2024 in Nashville, Tennessee in the beginning of October. Talked with him a bunch. He ended up telling me who he was, and that was just surreal, meeting a guy that made all the Star Wars toys that I loved when I was a kid. So kind of got the opportunity to talk to him for over 2 hours of uncut commentary. So make sure to check out that interview. It's, again, up everywhere the podcast is available, as well as the YouTube channel. In addition to that, I did just get a crazy pickup in the mail today as of recording this. So you can expect a review on this hopefully this weekend here. I got the Hot Toys Darth Maul, specifically from Clone Wars Season 7, but I'm going to display him as a Darth Maul from Season 5. He'll go with the eventual Savage Opress and some of the other Maul DeLoreans that have come out for the Hot Toys line. I'm super excited about this release. I literally just got it in the mail like less than an hour before I'm sitting here recording. So I'm stoked for that review, so make sure to check that out. I've been really enjoying doing some Hot Toys reviews recently, and I have definitely, I think, like 12 or so Hot Toys on order right now, waiting to be shipped to the house. So make sure to keep up with the channel here on YouTube if you're interested in Hot Toys. Yeah, and also check out Sideshow.com. They've got a really nice sale going on for Hot Toys right now. I got that Darth Maul for 25% off. So great deal. I'm glad I decided to wait on that one, and paid off. So they were doing a deal. If you spent over $250 on an order, you'd get a free Dark Trooper Hot Toy, which is a $265 value. As of recording this, that has since sold out. I wonder why. It's almost like people thought that was a really good deal, and it was. Me personally, I passed, because what would I do with a Hot Toys Dark Trooper? It doesn't fit my collection. But yeah, super cool stuff, and I'm happy for everyone that did get their hands on one. Let's talk some Star Wars here. So the big topic this week is really just, again, last week it was the Skeleton Crew trailer, the Skibbity Crew trailer. This week it's an article. So I was kind of thinking about what I was going to talk about on the podcast this week. And this article came out originally from Deadline. I found out about this article from Wilbon from Monday Night Figure Ball. Just want to give a shout out to Wilbon. He is a great guy. Their show is awesome. This article is, like I said, originally from Deadline. The title is Star Wars Trilogy Deal. Lucasfilm taps Simon Kinberg to write and produce. This came out on November 7th at 8:54 a.m., written by Mike Fleming Jr. Just from the title, I can tell you what my thoughts are on this. I am frustrated with Star Wars right now. Actually, not frustrated with Star Wars. I'm frustrated with Lucasfilm right now. And the reason I'm frustrated with Lucasfilm is because I have been complaining. I've been on record on this channel multiple times complaining. Why is Star Wars announcing more and more projects when they have so many projects that have either been shelved or are just dead in the water? Over a dozen projects between movies and TV shows in the last few years alone have been shelved or are just dead in the water, indefinitely maybe happening because of creative differences, or, you know, the writer wants to go do something else, or, you know, the script isn't ready, or we're making it from a movie to a series and back to a movie and back to a series and back to a movie. There's so much wishy-washiness that comes out with Lucasfilm recently, in the last few years especially. And this was just more fuel to the fire for me, because it's to me, you know, right, just reading the title, I'm like, why are we doing this again? You know, like, I was happy to hear that Lucasfilm was dialing back on the volume of Disney Plus projects that they're putting out. I was happy to hear that, you know, they're going back to the movie theater for some movie projects, but can we maybe get some movies out before we get another deal done doing more, you know? And I'll go through Simon Kinberg's portfolio later on, but, you know, for me, it was just, come on, man. I really didn't care. So this is the article. I'm going to read it to you. And again, you can find this on Deadline. If you look up Simon Kinberg on Google, this is one of the first articles that'll pop up. So this says, exclusive. Lucasfilm has closed a deal with Simon Kinberg to develop a trilogy of Star Wars films. Kinberg will write the trio and produce them with Lucasfilm chief Kathleen Kennedy. I'm going to stop again right there. So Simon Kinberg, and a kind of a spoiler for his portfolio of work, he's done some stuff that I don't really care for personally, but he's also done some stuff that I think is great. He has done some heavy work on the Deadpool, all three of the Deadpool movies. I love the first two. I'm a sinner. I have yet to see Deadpool and Wolverine, but I have seen the first two Deadpool movies multiple times. Love those films. He has done work on Logan, which is one of my top 5, top 10 movies of all time. Logan is a fantastic movie. So you know, they're saying the right things. In my opinion, they picked a solid person to write and produce. They've picked they made a solid choice, a sound choice in picking to have this one person write all three movies so that we can have some consistency there, whether it be in the plot or the character development, things like that. However, I don't see this going anywhere. And again, you're saying Kathleen Kennedy is going to be involved. And in my opinion, contrary to the popular belief, or I should say the loud minority's belief on the internet, I don't believe Kathleen Kennedy is solely to blame for anything. I think Lucasfilm as a whole is very disjointed. I think that the company as a whole, I think the only thing she's to blame for is poor leadership, in that the company, it seems directionless, and she as the leader needs to kind of get everyone in the same boat and sailing in the same direction, because right now everyone's just scattered everywhere with 7 different ideas, 7 different directions as to where the franchise should go, where Lucasfilm as the company should go, and everything just feels like we're just throwing stuff at the wall and seeing if it'll stick. I really, really hope that we start to see something different with these movies if they come out. I don't think they're going to come out. That's my spoiler for my final thoughts here. I don't think they're going to come out. Let's get back to the article real quick. So the next paragraph is, I heard this will comprise I heard this will comprise episodes 10 through 12 of the Skywalker saga that began with George Lucas's 1977 first film, which, along with Steven Spielberg's Jaws, reshaped the global blockbuster game. Insiders disputed my intel that Kinberg will continue that storyline, saying this instead will begin a new saga and sit alongside percolating Star Wars projects with James Mangold, Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy, Taika Waititi, and Donald Glover. As usual, Lucasfilm and Disney are not commenting. This right here is just part of my issue. So this is where I start to get frustrated, is this author, Mr. Fleming, is just rattling off a list of Star Wars projects that have yet to come out, that have been either officially announced at a convention or a Comic-Con or, a D23 or something like that. And here we are announcing not one, not two, but 3 more movies. We're doing another trilogy on top of all these other projects that have previously been announced. Just speaking about the movies, we have this one is the most likely to actually happen, the Mandalorian and Grogu movie, which is in production right now. They've already written it. It's Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni. They're pretty consistent. I have some faith with Lucasfilm that this is going to come out. Then the next one that I think is going to come out, the only other one that I actually think is actually going to happen, is Dave Filoni's Heir to the Empire movie. This is going to be Dave Filoni wrapping up the Mandoverse, giving a conclusion to all the storylines we've been getting in the Mandoverse, the fandom has called it. I think that's likely to happen again because it's Dave Filoni. Dave Filoni, I think, I am, as some people say, I'm Filoni-pilled. I love Dave Filoni's work. I love what he's doing with Star Wars. I think by far it's better than what anyone else is doing with Star Wars right now. And I think he is in the right direction as to what Star Wars should be, in my opinion. Moving on, now we get into the list of movies that are just dead in the water or shelved indefinitely or canceled. So looking at the first one here, we have James Mangold's movie, which got announced. I think it might have been, I don't remember if it was even earlier this year or last year, but James Mangold was going to do a Dawn of the Jedi movie. 25,000 years before the Star Wars movies. I believe it's 25,000 years before The Phantom Menace, if I'm correct. That's going to be where the Jedi come from, where they originate from. That's cool. I like that idea, but I've heard nothing about it. I have no idea when it's going to, if there's anything actually happening with that. It just is what it is. The next one here, Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy's film, which is supposed to be a Rey Skywalker-centric film that takes place approximately 15 years after the end of Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker. I've heard so many things about this movie, from Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy walking from the project, to her being fired from the project, to the writer walking off from the project, to, just they've delayed filming for the project, whether it's because Daisy Ridley recently got diagnosed with some sort of, not ailment, but syndrome, not a syndrome, I can't think of the word, but Daisy Ridley got recently diagnosed with something that might affect it, and, this might affect it, that might. It is outrageous. It's another one of those things. I think that they should be well along in the process of development before they do things like this, because that's what's frustrating for me, is you're announcing projects that are just in the brainstorming, the thought stage. And here we are, and again, another project's not going to come out probably. What are we supposed to do now, Lucasfilm? It's like, how many times am I supposed to get excited about something? I want a Rey Skywalker movie. I want that. That's something that I want. I know it's probably not a popular opinion. I want to see more of her character. I want a chance for her character to really flourish, as opposed to the hodgepodge of the sequel trilogy. And come on, man, just put something out. Stick to your guns. And that I made a whole video about this when the Acolyte Season 2 got canceled. I wish Lucasfilm would just stick to their guns on anything, literally anything. Stick to your guns on something. If you want to do a project, do that damn project. And I think that the internet is a lot to blame for that, because now the popular thing on the internet is to pre-order being mad. You get pre-mad, you cancel something, you blah, 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 before it even comes out. You have ultra-conservative people canceling projects, on online because, this is a woke writer, a woke director. You have ultra liberal people online on the other side of things that are, this character, this cast isn't diverse enough, this, that, blah, blah, blah. We need to, cancel a project. I wish that these companies would just have some balls, for lack of a better term, and just make a project. Let the writers do their thing. Let the writers cook. Let the creative department cook. Give them the budget that they're asking for. It's Disney. I know they've lost a ton of money in the last several years with a lot of their theatrical releases and with, Disney Plus projects. But let's look at why. You can say, oh, well, they're losing money. Yeah, they're losing money because they're rushing the creative teams on all these projects. And then you get these half-baked, lame stories with lame characters. And it just sucks. I wish that we weren't in this position right now. Give people time to make something. Give people time to cook. And if it sucks, at least conclude the story. Commit to it. That was something that I loved back in the 2000s. We had a lot of stuff I hate the Michael Bay Transformers films. But I'm glad that they made all the films and concluded stuff, as opposed to just saying, yep, the first one didn't do amazing, the second one didn't do amazing, let's just cancel the whole thing. Let's just, it all, it didn't get $1 million, trillion, bazillion dollars, let's be done. Personally, I would much rather they continue with these projects. Aside from that, you have Taika Waititi's film, which I recently also heard was getting shelved, and that he was, not going to be doing that anymore. Why, and I guarantee you this author doesn't even know that, he might not even know what's going on in the rumor mill with Star Wars right now. Another project right there. And then one of the most frustrating ones for me is probably the Donald Glover now is in charge of, I guess, the Lando, originally series, now a movie. Dude, I'm sorry. I think Donald Glover is a great young Lando Calrissian. But I feel like we're getting to a point with this, if we don't, kind of get the ball rolling on this. I just was at a convention that Billy D. Williams was at earlier this year. Billy D's getting pretty long in the tooth. If you want him to be Lando Calrissian for this Lando project, we kind of need to start moving with this. And I understand that there were different writers that were fired, and, now Donald Glover and his brother are in charge, and they decided they want it to be a movie. But they need to kind of get moving on that, in my opinion, if that's what they want to do. Because, again, Billy D. Williams is getting very old. I'm not saying he's going to die anytime soon, but he's definitely probably looking at retiring from acting, if he's not already retired. So we need to kind of move on that a little bit. And again, this is just a few, the ones that were mentioned in the article, of the lists of projects. We have Rian Johnson's Star Wars trilogy, that is just dead in the water right now because it got announced in 2017 when Episode 8, The Last Jedi, released, and they were like, yeah, we're going to give Rian Johnson a whole trilogy because we loved his movie that he wrote so much. And then Rian Johnson says, yeah, well, I'm not going to even touch that with a 10-foot pole until my Knives Out movies are finished. Cool, but why did Disney announce that? That's my point. I have no problem with Rian Johnson doing other projects first. He's his own guy. He can do whatever he wants. Why did the company go out of their way to announce it? What is it, like 7 years ago now? Almost, 7 years ago we announced this, and we're still sitting with it. Sean Levy was supposed to have a Star Wars movie. That never came out. I haven't heard anything about that. There was rumors that Kevin Feige was going to get a Star Wars movie. I never heard anything about that. There were rumors that the guys that wrote, this wasn't a rumor, the guys that wrote Game of Thrones were supposed to get a Star Wars movie, and they walked for creative differences. And then there's the Patty Jenkins Rogue Squadron film, which got canceled and now isn't canceled. And dude, we just have so many projects. These are all announced within the last 7 years. Why are we announcing stuff? Why are we putting all this stuff? Why is Disney trying to make moves like this? I think Star Wars needs to breathe. I mentioned Wilbon earlier. He and I were talking the other day. We need to let Star Wars breathe. We need to let things chill. That was why everyone was kind of breathing. I breathed a sigh of relief. I don't know about you guys when Disney, when it was coming out that Disney and Lucasfilm were going to cut back on the Star Wars and Marvel releases on Disney Plus. That's a great idea. Give people a chance to actually write stuff instead of trying to have back-to-back series so that people keep their subscriptions. I'm sorry, you're either going to keep the Disney Plus subscription or you're not. There's really nothing you can do to coax people into keeping it. Like, I have Disney Plus because I watch Star Wars all the time. And that's the one place that I can just open an app on my phone and I can watch anything Star Wars in 4K Ultra HD whenever I want to. And I'm willing to pay the monthly subscription. Casual fans are not. It just is what it is. They're much less likely to have Disney Plus if they don't really care to watch stuff and rewatch stuff. And that's another thing. It's you want to create something that has rewatchability. I have zero desire to rewatch some of these recent Star Wars projects. It just is what it is. You know, I know everyone has their favorites and their, you know, ones that they prefer, but for me, yeah, I don't care about some of these Star Wars projects. I watched them once, I'll watch parts of them again. I will not watch the whole thing again. And I'll leave that for you to decipher which are which. But again, it doesn't mean I hate the projects. It's just like they just didn't create something that I felt was rewatchable. Yeah, it's just so frustrating, guys. I don't really know. I'm interested to hear what you guys think. Let me know in the comments if you can comment on the platform you're watching or listening on. What's your thoughts on this? Because I feel like a lot of people feel similarly to how I feel on this, where it's almost like exhaustion. I'm just like, I don't even want to get excited here. But I will say, you know, Simon Kinberg, I saw some people being naysayers about him specifically. I feel like he's a better pick than what Disney and Lucasfilm usually pick, because the next paragraph, the third paragraph in this article reads, Kinberg previously worked with Lucasfilm in co-creating with Dave Filoni and Carrie Beck the Emmy-nominated animated series Star Wars Rebels that ran for 4 seasons from 2014 to 2018. He was also a consultant on Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens, the J.J. Abrams directed film that revived the franchise in 2015. Now, and then they go on to tell you just all the other movies he's worked on: Deadpool and Wolverine, the other 2 Deadpool films, The Martian, Logan, the X-Men films, the Sherlock Holmes recent film. You know, so, and then they go on like with some of his like upcoming stuff like The Running Man, things like that. I think Simon Kinberg is probably, as you know, as good of a pick as you're going to get for a new writer. He clearly understands, in my opinion, he clearly understands fiction. With, you know, fantastic releases like Deadpool, Deadpool 2, Logan. He can clearly work on projects that are more comedic and projects like Logan that are extremely serious, and then taking those 2 characters and kind of marrying them together with the Deadpool and Wolverine film, which was a hugely successful film to my understanding. He's clearly got the balance and the know-how for different genres of media. I also feel like, you know, his work on like things like X-Men and stuff, you know, whether those movies you like them or not, clearly he understands, you know, the fantasy world. And I think, especially having worked on Star Wars Rebels, which over the years has become an extremely beloved series, almost as popular as something like the Clone Wars, I think this guy is a good pick. I think he's what Star Wars could really use right now. They're saying some of the right things in this article, you know, based on Lucasfilm's deal. Again, this is all alleged, you know, nobody really knows anything because there's not like Lucasfilm coming out and saying that, you know, officially Simon Kinberg. I think my biggest problem with it is if the rumor is true that they are naming the movies episodes 10, 11, and 12. I think that's probably my biggest issue. The reason being for that, doing a movie that is named in the Skywalker saga, but not having any of the Skywalker saga characters in it is pointless. At that point, let's leave the numbered movies alone. There's no reason to add them in because the Skywalker saga was a family soap opera. Those 9 movies are a soap opera about one family and the Palpatines. But you know, I feel like it's pretty pointless, to be honest with you, to include, you know, the numbers. Why? Why are we doing that? Is it to try and draw a more casual audience in by saying, a casual audience, oh, they're making another Star Wars? I don't think that's smart. I think just name it Star Wars and have the title of your movie after it. Why does it have to be episodes 10 through 12? When it comes to these films, I also just in general have a problem with them numbering them 10 to 12 at all, let alone that they wouldn't actually be connected to the Skywalker saga. Because Lucasfilm said, after Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker, we are done with the Skywalker saga. We are done. We are leaving it as it is. The 9 movies are the 9 movies, and that's that. and now we're not. Now we're doubling back on that. I'm not saying that a company is never allowed to double back on a statement they made. I just feel like this particular decision is so avoidable. It is so easily avoidable. And I wish, and I hope, and I pray that Lucasfilm sees that it's such an avoidable decision and that they're able to make a better decision. You know, maybe let's not do the names 10 through 12 for these movies. But who knows? What do I know? I'm just a Star Wars fan. At the end of the day, I'm still going to go see the movies if they come out, because that's my other thing. I don't think these movies are going to come out, guys. I don't know about you, but I have a strong feeling that these movies are just destined to be dead in the water. 3 movies? We can't even get one movie back on the big screen. You know, 90% of the time they get canceled, either by the community or by, the creative differences, my favorite corporate term recently, the whole creative differences spiel. Meaning that the writer wanted to do something either ambitious or, wanted to do something they wanted to do. And instead they got met with a bunch of boxes that the corporation wants them to fill. Whether that's meeting quotas on what kinds of people we hire, or whether it's meeting quotas on it needs to be this runtime, so you need to cut out this, that, and the third. Can we just take out the slop and just let these people write a movie? Can we just do that, please? It's stupid. It's really, it's frustrating. I'm very clearly on this topic. I'm exhausted as a Star Wars fan because I love Star Wars, dude. Clearly from everything you can see around me, I'm wearing a freaking Star Wars shirt right now. I'm a huge Star Wars. I'm a Star Wars super fan, and I always will be. And I always will watch everything new that comes out. I just don't want to be in a position where I'm like rolling my eyes before the project even comes out. Lucasfilm needs to focus on the stuff that they already have in the works before we put another thing in the works, guys. That's just kind of where I'm at. I would rather them be completely done with everything that's on the cutting board, and then finally, after that, let's have some break before we go, okay, now let's maybe think about something else. And again, between now and then, I can't imagine writing a Star Wars movie. It would have to be, if you're doing a trilogy, I feel like at this point it's got to be post the sequel trilogy or a prequel to the prequel trilogy, and I guess a prequel to the Acolyte now too, because there's so much new stuff coming out. The lore is constantly, there's new things being added, there's things being retconned, things are changing, characters are alive and dead and alive again and dead again. There's, I would honestly be like, I don't want to touch anything familiar with a 10-foot pole, because, it could be subject to change. I could wake up tomorrow and the newest episode of the new animated series is, like bringing back this character that we thought was dead for 35 years. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. This is why I'm saying I think they need to slow down. I think that's the root cause of my frustration with this announcement is we just need to slow down. We need to cool our jets with the media before we make more media. I definitely plan to do a shorter, like 10 to 15 minute video specifically on this topic. Because in those shorter videos, I can kind of reach a more broad audience. With these podcast episodes, I definitely think that it's more intimate. I'm talking more to my already established community than I am talking to like the broader Star Wars fandom and casual fans and pop culture geeks and things like that. So I'm definitely going to probably you could probably look out for it sometime next week. I'll do a smaller, kind of shorter, 10 to 15 minute version of this, where I kind of just boil down my thoughts instead of just me yapping at the camera here. That's pretty much all I got for this topic, guys. Again, I appreciate you guys bearing with me here for these couple, weeks of just shorter podcasts here. I kind of wanted to just make sure that I'm staying on top of the news. I think with this channel, I've done a podcast before, and I think it was just a lot all in one show, because it was like, I like this where I just cover one singular topic, or if it's just news in general, I'm okay covering just the news. But I'm okay. I used to be very against doing long podcasts, but I feel like we had some meaningful conversation in this almost 30 minutes we've been recording now. ultimately, I feel like it's better to do like separate, shorter form videos if I want to really, hit a topic hard. Whereas like, I've done a podcast before where it's like housekeeping and then news and then a weekly topic and then collecting and then and then if there's a new episode of a show, we talk about that. I kind of want to just boil things down to news and topics for the week, or one or the other. So, this week, last week, I kind of just wanted to cover news as opposed to, a full topic and news. Let me know what you guys think of that. Would you rather that I also try to do a weekly topic? Because that's the other thing. I don't want to push it. I don't want to push the envelope too hard. I feel like with this topic, I've definitely, spoken my piece on it. And like I said, there will, a couple times now, there will be a shorter video on the YouTube channel that goes up next week, probably middle of next week, just about me yapping about this topic, unless, some other news comes out and I'm like, I really got to jump on that too. But yeah, that honestly, I think to wrap up my thoughts, just to make everything brief, the idea that I think there's things they're doing right. Okay. So while I'm not a fan of the announcement in general, they're making a good choice by having one guy do the 3 movies instead of dishing the work out to 3 different people as time goes on. I think that's pretty much it, actually. I think that's my only... Okay, Simon Kinberg, I think, is a solid choice. Is he the best choice ever? I don't know. I don't really want to judge. I like a lot of his work, and a lot of this other stuff I haven't seen, so I can't speak on if it's good or not. But, the stuff that I have seen, I like a lot. The stuff that he's heavily involved with. And I think that it's that classic Disney mentality. We have a guy that recently had a very successful project. Let's just hand him something Star Wars. He worked on Rebels. He seems to be close with Dave Filoni and Carrie Beck. Hopefully we can get some good stuff out of him. The negatives. I don't think these are going to come out at all. I would love for them to come out and for them to be good, but personally, I just don't see them coming out. Because there's the track record that Lucasfilm has of just all these projects that just never come out. And it's frustrating for me as a fan because I want to see more Star Wars, but I want to see it done and I want to see it done well. And I want to see them really cook and take their time with stuff. And I just don't see that happening. Another negative, the name, I hope the rumor is not true that they're episodes 10 through 12. I hope they don't touch a Skywalker saga with a 10-foot pole ever again. As far as the numbered movies go, I have no problem with legacy characters showing up in other media, but let's just leave the movies alone. Can we do that? Please? I'm begging you. But yeah, guys, let me know your thoughts if you have the ability to comment on the platform you're watching or listening to on. Let me know what you think about this announcement. I know we talked about it a little bit in my Discord when the announcement first came out earlier this week. So again, let me know. What do you guys think? What do you guys want to see from a Star Wars movie? Things like that. Yeah, that's pretty much all I got, guys. Again, if you're not subscribed, make sure to subscribe to Blitz Transmissions. I've got awesome Star Wars content coming out all the time. Check out all the links in the description below. That's going to be all for this podcast, guys. I'll catch you for the next one. And may the Force be with you.